The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Underdog, Arnold Palmer Invitational 2025. Picks, research, course, guess the odds, and maybe even a little sprinkle of the Puerto Rico Open towards the end. Always hit the time codes to figure everything out, where you want to jump to, and I'm back. I was gone for a week. Hopefully our guy, Michael Kim, can come through on Sunday, making it the least research I've done for a show this year and hitting my first winner. Probably still not going to happen, but here we are. I'm rooting for Michael Kim. I hope you are too, or whatever winners you potentially got at the COG on Sunday. But we are now into a big stretch of great content on the Pat Mayo Experience. So you smash the like, you sub to the channel, you rate and review the audio podcast or on Spotify. If you leave a comment on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and you give me the winner of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, you'll be in a draw for an annual membership to fantasynational.com. I will announce that winner with Tambo live 9 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday when we go through all of the DFS picks, the final bets, the weather, and the research. And yeah, I think we're like 15 straight days of content right now because we're going to have a player-by-player preview for the players towards the end of the week. For next week, we have the March Madness bracket live that selection Sunday, along with all of the pedal to the metal players content, along with all the Bay Hill stuff. So we should probably get right into it this year. 72 players in the field at Bay Hill for I believe this is the fourth signature event of the season. So a ton of money up in the prize pool. If you take a look at the one and done right now and you see the guy who's in first place, he didn't make a pick one week, and then he picked Will Zalatoris at the Farmers the week that he WD'd 10 minutes before lock. This guy is still in first place because he had Rory and Ludwig at the two signature events. That's all it took to be in first place. So if you want to catch up in the one and done, you are certainly not finished as of yet. You just need to get some winners or top threes in the signature events, and you'll be well on your way to the top of the leaderboard. And there's a lot of these still to come. There is a cut line this week. Top 50 in ties will end up playing the weekend, very similar to how it was at the Genesis Invitational. And it's a strong field. It's the best of the best of the best, the best, sir, with honors, like from Men in Black. And Xander is back for the first time since the century. I guess the first time since that one TGL matchup that he played, but the first full field event, or full big tournament for Xander Schauffele since he's coming back from his rib injury. Additionally, Rafael Campos, Mac Hughes, Jackson Koivun, Min Woo Lee, and Justin Rose are all in on sponsors exemptions. Plus, we'll get the updated Aeon 5 and the Aeon Next 10 that are in. Spieth and Ricky are on the outside looking in right now. They did not receive sponsors exemption to Arnie's tournament, which is frankly pretty shocking. I just assumed Spieth would get a sponsor's invite to all of them because sponsors want Spieth. The networks want Spieth. Everyone wants Spieth at their tournament, even if he's not good. If he's relatively in contention, it does spike the ratings, but he still has a chance to play himself into this tournament with a good finish at PGA National on Sunday. We'll see how that goes. He's like 6 back of the lead or 5 back of the lead going into Sunday. A top 3 probably gets him in. And Luke Clanton ended up getting his full PGA Tour card, so he's actually not in Bay Hill now because he doesn't need it anymore. I think that's why Koivun is in. They always have one of the very top amateurs end up playing. I think Koivun played last year. It was Ludwig the year before that when he first burst onto the scene. But I love Bay Hill. This is a great stretch of golf. We get this elevated event right now, and then we get the Players, which is probably the best field outside of the PGA Championship that we're going to see all season long. And then we get the Valspar, which is still one of my favorite tournaments. Copperhead, one of the best. So a lot of very fun golf coming up. Hopefully we get some tight finishes like we're potentially seeing at PGA National this weekend. There's like 20 guys within 4 shots of the lead. So hopefully it comes down to a head-to-head, unless Michael Kim wants to run away with it, because that too would be very nice. fantasynational.com/Mayo gets you 20% off. And if I just flick over right now to Fantasy National, I do want to show people something, because I think that people forget this. Right here on the screen, the members exclusive, that's where you get the Fantasy National app. So if you're already a member, you can get the app, and the app is by far the best in the biz. If you follow my Twitter account, you've been seeing the testimonials from people. We worked so hard on this app to basically be ahead of real time, and all the shots that you see on delay on the course. A lot of them are on delay. So if you want to keep up to date on what's going on, you don't have to click on a person to see what they're doing, then click out, then refresh. No, you just put it up on your screen. You can pick your favorites if you want to, and everything will just update automatically. You can follow along that way. It is perfect for what we are doing. So let's head on over to Bay Hill, Arnie's tournament for the fourth signature event of the season. And what do we got here? 7,466 yards is Bay Hill, a par 72. Bermuda greens, 9 holes with water, although it is in the sight line of every single hole. 7,500 square foot green, so a bit above average, and 84 bunkers, usually one of the most difficult tournaments that we will see on the PGA Tour every single year. And just to kick things off, Scotty Scheffler won at 15 under a year ago. That was by 5 strokes. It was Kurt Kitayama down the stretch at -9 the year before that. Scheffler at -5 in a huge comeback the year before that. So a lot of higher scores. So one of the more fun tournaments that we're going to see. And this is your reminder right now to check the weather. And we'll have this on the Wednesday show live at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Mayo Media Network and on the pod feed after the fact. If you want to ask questions towards the end, you tune in at like 9:45. We'll be there, Tambo and I, answering your questions, but the weather can wreak havoc on this. A clear wave stack due to a wind advantage may emerge even with only a 72-person field, that you might just want to try to pick off the spots that you want to go to, because there's actually a huge... we'll see if they play in split tees. I believe they did play in split tees a year ago, so that will condense it and take away any sort of wave. But if you do start on number 1, that is the route that you want to go on this course, because you get the chance at a birdie streak. It's not a good chance, but if you start on number 10, you have to play 17, 18, 1, and 2 in succession, and those are 4 of the 6 hardest holes on the course. And they all basically have, 4 of those holes, 17 through 2, have a birdie percentage below 12%. So that's probably not something that you want to do. We've seen that the weather can greatly affect this. That's why I mentioned to check it. Like, everyone kind of remembers the 2020 Tyrrell Hatton year, where Fitzpatrick was the only guy in the field to shoot under 70 on the weekend, and Hatton became the first player since Jeff Ogilvy to win with shooting 2 rounds on the weekend over par. That was Jeff Ogilvy at the 2006 U.S. Open to fire rounds over par and still win this event. And you'll just see that there's water everywhere. Avoid the water, beat up on the par 5s, don't make any huge mistakes, and you'll be good. Unfortunately, most people do end up making huge mistakes from time to time, and that's how you get some of these crazy comeback finishes, like the year that Rory stormed back or Molinari stormed back, and they just started making 40-foot putts from anywhere. Strokes gained approach has been 2 times as influential on the top 5 finishers as strokes gained off the tee, and 3 times more impactful than around the green. Now, that gap, when you expand it to the top 20 finishers, is a little bit less impactful, more impactful, obviously, when you start looking at the winner. And we all know that strokes gained approach is always the most important stat to look at, but it tends to be more pronounced this week because so many approaches come from beyond 200 yards. Historically, around 30% of the approaches are going to come from that distance, one of the largest distributions on approach shots on any course of 200 yards plus on tour that we regularly see. There's also a ton, and a lot of that has to do with the just glut of par 3s that are coming in. All 4 of them, one of them plays 199. Let's just call that 200. So all 4 of them play 200 yards or more, and they're all relatively difficult. There is the green speed as well. The green speed is either going to be fast or lightning fast. And when we jump over to Fantasy National, we'll see how that ends up looking. It's around like 38% of the time they qualify as lightning, as some of the fastest on tour every single year. And then the vast majority of the time they rate as fast. So guys that putt on very fast greens, we do see a bit of a correlation between Bay Hill and Torrey Pines over the last decade. Leishman and Jason Day have won both over that time. But you even see other Farmers winners like Justin Rose or Harris English. Max Homa and Luke List have multiple top 10s at Bay Hill as well. And obviously the Masters is a bit of a crossover too. A lot of it having to do with the short game being difficult. Now at Augusta, there's relatively no rough to deal with. In fact, there is none. But the green surfaces are really fast, very tricky, and very difficult to putt on. And then you have this course where there's really thick rough. I think that's where the Torrey stuff ends up coming through. So just class players end up winning year over year at this course. And when we take a look right now, Over at Fantasy National, we'll just take a look at the scorecard. As I mentioned before, like when you do the walkthrough of holes 1 through 13, if you start on hole number 10, you just get hit with red in the face. The only decent one here is 16, and that's also an Underdog thing for this week as well. So if you take a look at Underdog, use code Mayo at Underdog right now. Get yourself that deposit bonus of up to $1,000. There's Masters, there's major season draft, rest of the season drafts, all starting at Augusta. We'll even have some Pat Mayo Experience rake-free tournaments for you to join in. So use that code Mayo as your deposit bonus. Use the deposit bonus to draft all your teams, and then try to pick off hole 16 because guys go birdie or better far more often than they do at almost any hole. Like it's a 52% birdie rate, almost a 5% eagle rate. You can even try to get lucky and play like round robins or flex plays on Underdog with 3 guys to eagle number 16 and get huge payouts, even if 2 of them end up hitting, or just do a bunch of combos of 2 if that's the way that you want to go. That's if you want to get pretty tricky on it. But flex plays with the better players, birdies are better in the field, especially from those that are good both off the tee and from 200 yards is where you're going to want to go this week. This is the little mini stretch that I talked about, 9, 10, and 11. If you can birdie, you're one of the 11% of the field that birdies number 9, you do have an opportunity for a streak, but it's very minuscule, honestly, to tell you the truth. It's where you would want to go from that route, because the wraparound that the other side doesn't end up getting is so much better. But honestly, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of birdie streaks. This is what I'm talking about with the approach play. You can see the further down the leaderboard you get, the more pronounced it gets. But then you get up to the top 5, 0.53 off the tee, 1.06 on approach. So, double what you're going to see in approach over off the tee. And then, putting, you're going to need to bring your putter. Last year, when we take a look at some of the finishers, Scheffler was the 5th best putter in the field. All 5 players that cashed a T8 or better were the 5 best putters in the field for the week. So you have to bring your... And this is the tournament last year, too, where Rory told, hey, Scotty, why don't you try turn into a mallet? See how that works out for you. That did not work out. Well, it worked out for Scotty. It did not work out for the rest of the field. You can see these average shot distributions, not a lot of wedges, because almost like even a lot of tournaments on the par 5s, there's not a lot of layups that you're going to find on the par 5. When we sort by par 5s overall, you'll see you have the 5% eagle rate on number 16. Number 6, not a lot of guys are going to get there into, or if they do, they have just criminally long putts going through. So Bryson tried to drive it that one year. One of the better moments. I still miss Bryson at this tournament. But you're just going to see over 30% birdie rates on all of these par 5s. If you're not gaining there, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But you will see, where is it? The par 5, number 6, has the 2nd highest double or worse rate, almost 5%. That's where John Daly made, I believe it was the 18. I remember Griot made like a 13 there one year. Remember Rory launching his 3-iron into the water on that hole. Like there's some really devastating scores that are going to end up, killing us from time to time. Driving accuracy pretty high, greens and regulation pretty low. You're going to have to be pretty decent if you hit it into the sand around these green complexes, it's actually one of the easier greenside bunkers to get out of, unless your name's like Victor Hovland and you kill yourself out of the bunker. Gary Woodland did it that one year too. I believe that was the year that Scheffler won at -5 3 years ago. They all had chances to win, and then they just scummed themselves around the green. But generally speaking, scrambling is about as equal as you'd find, and that's pretty pronounced considering a lot of tee shots go inside the water. That around the green play here is a little bit easier. Just kind of chunk it out of that. Because the greens are so fast, you can chunk it out of although you don't have the spin control out of the deep rough around the greens, you can get it pretty close, then you make your putts. One of the harder 10 to 20 foot putting as well. That normalizes putting a little bit here, because the great putters who tend to make a lot of those especially 10 to 15 feet, like that's kind of their money range. They make a higher percentage of those than the field ends up doing. By and large, week to week, they just don't make as many here. Thus, you see a lot of crappier putters end up, you make a few from that range, all of a sudden your spike week goes on record from putting that you wouldn't normally see, because so many players are not making those putts. Average green regulation, a bit larger, proximity to the hole than your average tour event, which makes sense considering that you're going to have more, larger greens, just kind of tend to make that happen. Average driving distance a little bit lower. A lot of that just has to do with the water that you get capped. Those count in terms of average driving distance. So you see 278 here versus the average tour event of 283. But of drives that hit the green, they're actually much longer than that. You're going to need them because these holes play a little bit longer even than the scorecard does, because you have to take weird routing around some of the holes. It's not just like dead straight away. It's like, oh, it's 550, but sometimes you have to play it out 300 yards a bit to the right, and you still have 267 coming in to the hole. That's how number 6 gets a lot of people, unless you really want to take it on, like your Bryson DeChambeau. Taking a look at the field, everyone's here as mentioned, except for, no, not even except, even Xander is back this week. So let's take a look at the tournament history and see how we're doing here. Obviously, Scheffler won a year ago by 5 strokes over Wyndham Clark. As I mentioned, he was the best putter in the field for the week, or the 5th best putter in the field for the week. Todd, Henley, Homa, Wyndham Clark, and Scotty Scheffler, all those guys finished inside the top 8. Ludwig was next after that. In fact, Ludwig has gained over 2.5 strokes in both the tournaments that he has played at Bay Hill in the course of his career. Tee to green, let's see who got screwed last year. It was Kim. T30, 9.2 strokes gained tee to green, minus 8.6 on the green. Hoagie as well was 4th tee to green and probably led all players in approach, if I'm reading this properly. Yeah, by over 2.2 strokes. He led over Corey Connors, but lost almost 5 strokes putting, because that's what Tom Hoagie will do to you whenever he is lighting it up. So he's going to hit it really close and then like 3-putt from 5 feet, because that's what he's up to. The year before that was the Kurt Kitayama year, which was a stacked leaderboard. Funny, because Kitayama not in the field. You see Harris English, who had just previously won the Farmers, who was 2nd that year. Keegan, another guy who is, there's Jason Day, who's won the Farmers in the past. We saw Keegan Bradley, one of the best course history guys at the Farmers, that came through. But that year, in order, the top 3 putters finished T2, 1st, and T8, all picked up over 5 strokes on the field. But Kitayama will not be around. Ryan Fox was the only top 23 finisher that year to lose strokes off the tee. 10 of those players lost strokes to the field off the tee. 10 of those players lost around the green as well, but they gained off the tee. But it was English, Rory, Scheffler, Cantlay, Keegan, all these guys, and the live guys were obviously still around at that point too. The year before that was the Scheffler comeback year. He beat Hovland and Horschel, Chris Kirk, Fitzpatrick, and Sam Burns, all finished inside the top 10 that year. And then 2021 was what was the 2021 year? Was Bryson. Bryson ended up winning that year. Now, that was before it was a signature event, and it was a weaker field. Before it had signature and elevated status, you would see a lot of internationals do a lot of damage at this course because of the high winds, the difficult conditions. It leaned a little bit more to some of the conditions that you would see more regularly on the DP World Tour. So you'd get guys pop up near the top of the leaderboard who were more grinders, the guys that you would want to take at the U.S. Open. Although this is a much longer course, you wanted to have some of those Open Championship traits coming in. Now that we've seen the signature events, you've seen far more Americans near the top because more of the best American players are playing. In 2020, that was the Tyrrell Hatton year. That was just gangbusters hilarious. It was great because I had Tyrrell Hatton and he ended up winning, so we cashed a paycheck at that one, but just overall, it was so difficult for the entire field. Overall, over the past 5 years, Scheffler's only played 4 of them and still has the most strokes gained total. That's what happens when you win one year by 5 strokes, which was last year. Rory, Sungjae, Homa, and Connors are the top 5 after that. Fitzpatrick, Harris English, Keegan Bradley, Victor Hovland, and Chris Kirk. Kirk had some nice run as of 2 years ago, then the field got more difficult, and he hasn't come inside the top 35 since. But almost any skill set can play here, but you do really want to check out the players that do well at the more difficult courses. Have you noticed how Pat Mayo seems a whole lot better rested recently? It's no secret. I got my old mattress, took it outside, threw it in the trash the moment my Helix mattress showed up. My wife and I took the quiz on helixsleep.com. We went through everything and we decided the firmness. We wanted the temperature, how we actually sleep. And all of a sudden, the mattress shows up, we lay down, and I'm not having a lot of the sleep problems that I've been having in the past. I just wake up 50 times a night. Not no more with my Helix mattress. I was sleeping on my side with my head underneath my pillow, and I was getting chicken wing for when I woke up, and my back and my shoulders were sore because there was a divot inside my old mattress where I've been sleeping on it so long. Now, all of that has gone. It's been such an upgrade with my Helix mattress that I'm getting full sleep, and even my Apple Watch is telling me that I'm getting a far more full sleep this time. I'm not hitting 54% on my sleep cycle anymore. Now I'm up at like 90%, even 100% some nights. So Hopefully this can help you out as well, and you can go to helixsleep.com/PatMayo for the March Madness sale, which is 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/PatMayo for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/PatMayo. Look, I know we got a lot of Mayo listeners out there, and that amongst us, hair thinning, very common. It's a very frustrating problem that many men deal with, from stress to nutrition to hormones and lifestyle. So many internal factors affect what you see on the outside. Luckily, Nutrafol is here to help. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. See thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For me, it's all preventative. If I can take this now, hopefully I'm not going to have to deal with any thinning down the line. But if you want to build a hair growth routine, it's simple. Purchase online, no prescription required, automated deliveries, and free shipping to keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free naturopathic doctor consults, and a Headspace meditation membership is also included. So, start your hair growth journey with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering my listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code PATMayo. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code PATMayo. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code PATMayo. Welcome to TGL, presented by SoFi, golf's newest league. It's sharp and it's electric. 2 hours, a hammer drop, an overtime force, and playoffs on the line golf with 24 of the best players from the PGA Tour. This Monday, doubleheader, the Bay versus LA at 3 p.m. Eastern, then New York versus Boston at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Then Tuesday, it's Jupiter versus Atlanta at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tune into TGL matches only on ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN+. Keep up. It's golf. All right, let's talk about something I thought I'd never say. I give up coffee, and not just for a day, not just for a detox. I actually stopped drinking coffee because I found something that makes me feel so much better. It's called Peaks Nandaka. And listen, it's not just another coffee alternative. It's the upgrade your body has been waiting for. I used to wake up needing coffee to function, and then I'd pound a whole bunch of coffee, but then after the morning buzz wore off, I was not feeling great. I was drained by the afternoon, and most of the time I'd probably have to take a nap. And don't even get me started on the bloating and the stomach issues. I knew I needed something different and something that actually supported my body instead of depleting it, making me dehydrated all day long, and that's when I found Nandaka. If you're sick of feeling wired, tired, or just running on fumes, you need to try Nandaka today. Right now, Peak is offering 20% off for life and a free starter kit with your purchase. That's rechargeable frother and glass beaker to make the perfect cup every time. Just go to peaklifecom/mayo. That's PIQUE life.com/mayo. Trust me, your energy, your gut, and your future self will thank you. Once again, fantasynational.com/mayo gets you 20% off all membership levels. You get access to that leaderboard as well, which you can access by clicking this banner at the top of the screen on Fantasy National. You get it for Android or iOS, so I highly recommend that you get that now. The Bay Hill model that I have running out, and all of this write-up will be in the newsletter as well if you're looking for it, but the exact percentages you can only get on here. Leave that winner in the description and comment section of Apple, Spotify, or YouTube if you want to get in that draw for a free membership to Fantasy National. Winner announced on Wednesday. I was going to say Friday, but it's Wednesday. Strokes gained approach, 25%. Par 5 scoring, 6%. Proximity, 200 plus at 12. Opportunities gained still at 12%. Par 4s at 12. Putting at 6. Short game at 6. Par 3s, 200 to 225 yards at 4%. Off the tee, 12%. And bogey avoidance at 7%. Short term, what we're looking at right now, it's Scheffler, McNeely, Justin Thomas. Christoph Ventura is actually 4th in this, but he is an alternate in the field right now. So if he can wiggle his way into the field somehow, it's very doubtful because I think he's the 6th alternate or something like that. He'd probably end up being a pretty good play. Michael Kim, our guy who should be into the field, number 1 in bogey avoidance over the past 12 rounds, and he only made one, and that was from the mud on Saturday at the Cog. So he's been very good at keeping it out of the water for now. Hopefully that continues, and not making bogeys over the past few weeks. But he is number 5 in the modeling. Nick Taylor, Daniel Berger, Joel Damon, Akshay, and Rory McIlroy, all very good as well. Akshay's been really good in the wind, too. I mean, maybe that we can just click on his player profile to see what's going on. Yeah, windy conditions, difficult conditions. I mean, he putts much better on POA than anything else, but the putter has not been a problem. He has gained in every tournament so far this season. In fact, Akshay's numbers should be doing a lot better than you'd think. I'd love for this to be a breakout week for Akshay. Let's see how he did at the API. No, he didn't play in it a year ago. That's probably why he played so well at Puerto Rico like 2 years ago or whatever it was. But now he's here. He's going to keep it accurate off the tee. You don't have to be a bomber per se in order to win at Bay Hill. It certainly helps if you're driving the ball long and straight. That's kind of the key to any course. But he's going to keep it, hopefully, out of the water. And we've seen back-to-back top 10s from him. One was in Mexico, which obviously is not all that great. But even at Torrey Pines for the Genesis in that signature event, ended up coming top 10 there. I worry that his around the green game is so brutally bad that it might sink him, but he did gain at the U.S. Open a year ago. So maybe tournaments where they do have a bit longer grass, if he can just keep it a bit longer grass and make a few putts, maybe Akshay is in contention here, as the short-term modeling really does like him. Outside of that, Siwoo, I mean, out of the bigger names like Rory, Colin, like, of course those guys are going to be good. Aaron Rai, Siwoo, Knapp, if he can play himself in, which he should, he's currently leading the Cog. That would get him in. Even I think a top 5 would advance him through into this field. I would love Nikolai again. I mean, he's not technically out of it, although I bet him the past 3 times that he's played. His strokes gained approach is amazing. He sucks on par 5s. It is incredible the amount of strokes that he gives away on par 5s versus the field. Just watching him in Mexico, even though he came in 4th, it's just like, come on, man, figure this out. And he didn't figure it out. Not even close to it. So let's go down to past 36 rounds and try to take more of a macro view of this to see longer term who is a little bit better. And we'll see Scotty Scheffler, Xander, and McNeely. So McNeely stays there over time. Xander obviously hasn't played in a while. So most of these stats for Xander are from a year ago, but he rates out as number 2. I don't know exactly how I feel about Xander this week. He's playing on TGL, so maybe if he's like not horrid on that you're like, okay, full go. You just want to see him swing a club. I guess that's one of the benefits of having TGL this week, is that we're going to see the impact that the ribs are going to have on him. If he can be full go off the tee and with his club selection on TGL, I'll probably have no worries about him at least being healthy. I mean, I don't really care how he plays on TGL, good or bad, but if he's taking full rips, the swing speed is up to where it normally is, then I would actually feel pretty good about him, and we might actually get an odds discount on him just coming off this huge layoff. Like when I try to guess the odds, it's going to be Scotty, it's going to be Rory, and then it's probably going to be Xander. But there is a case to be made that he falls down a little bit because he's been out of sight, out of mind. Like, would Xander be priced behind Ludwig coming into the week? I think that there's certainly potential for that. Whether or not I'm willing to commit to guessing a number, you know what? I will commit to guessing that at the end. I will have Ludwig ahead of Xander in the betting market, even if it's just marginally. If one of them is 12 to 1 and one of them is 14 to 1, that might be the route that I go. Xander probably ahead of him, but I could see him falling down because people will be pensive, and then they'll watch TGL, find out that he's fine, then he'll end up being the second favorite in the field going forward. I can't really recall how Xander's played at this event over the years. You think it would be good, but maybe not. No, he's played in this tournament 3 times in his life and has never finished inside the top 20. Has never really figured out how to stay out of the water at this course. And even in 2020, it was all due to strong putting. Almost 6 strokes gained on putting that year, 3.7 in 2023. And last year, he was just kind of bad. Great off the tee, couldn't hit an approach to save his life. But I don't know if it would really depend on what the number is if I got my interest way up in Xander. But there's a chance he opens down the board. He does have to knock some rust off here, so we're probably not going to get that generous of a number for what we really want this week. So other than that, longer-term JJ Spawn all of a sudden jumps up. He still needs to play his way in as the next part of the Aon swing. Glover is currently in the field as the last guy in the next 10, but might fall out if someone can catch him at Cognizant as well. So there's a couple guys the field will get reshuffled on Sunday evening, and then you know exactly who's going to be in it by Monday morning. So just keep that in mind. And when you go into everything, you switch from field. When the odds update, you'll switch from that into some of the odds or the prices pricing, whatever it might be, and that will have the official field listed in it if you are wondering. Hovland still rates out pretty well over that time. So does Bobby Mack. Ludwig in at number 20, which is frankly pretty surprising. Grazerman, as I found out, if we do lightning fast greens plus Bermuda grass, Grazerman's the best putter in the field. Problem is, he only has 5 rounds of data to go with, where everyone else, you can probably factor out to 24 or 36 rounds of the last ones. He only has 5 total over the course of his career. Hideki's an interesting look here. Pendrith should be as well, although his bogey late in the round, I thought he made birdie to get through the cut line on the 18th at Cognizant, but that was not good enough. It got him cut by on the number out of everything. But Spahn, Michael Kim, Morikawa, Thomas, Pendrith, and Hideki all still rate out really well. Rory, Novak, Grazerman. How is Grazerman? I don't believe Grazerman made the cut this week. What about Hideki? Hideki's really lost his off the tee prowess. Let's see if that's because of distance or if that's because of accuracy. If it's because of distance, then I'm not sweating it too much. If it's because, it's because of accuracy. Oh, geez. That's sort of Hideki's bread and butter. When we take a look at his fairways gained historically, gaining over a stroke on the field per tournament. Fairways gained, or good drives gained, a stroke per tournament. Fairways gained, better than the field. And he's been brutally bad on fairways recently. So something's going on with his driver since he's won at Century. It looks like he's picked up a bit of distance, but, for ages, especially at the beginning of last year, he was hitting every single fairway going through. And now if you're going to be missing fairways here, that's not great news if that's where we're going with it. But 36 rounds, best proximity from 200 plus. It is Grazerman, then Akshay. Okay, so Akshay is going to be a bet. Great. He's going to be like 35-1 or something stupid. Hopefully we can catch him at like 50-1, 60-1, hopefully higher than that. Then we can feel comfortable about betting Akshay, but great long irons, great putting. He is brutal on par 5s. Who's the worst on par 5s? It's Bezadenhout, then Akshay, then Damon, then Wyndham Clark. That is shocking that Wyndham Clark has been so bad on par 5s. Akshay even more, considering his putting is inside the top 10 in this field over the past 36 rounds, and his proximity is second for beyond 200 yards plus. That you'd think those would be a good match for par 5s. I know he lacks a lot of distance, but still, that's brutal. Nikolai Højgaard, of course, he's down there, 75th in the field on par 5s over the past 36 rounds. Actually, that doesn't surprise me after watching him, but he's another one. 3rd in 200-yard proximity, 6th in overall strokes gained approach. Bad short game, bad putting probably doesn't help. He's 71st off the tee, but he somehow is 11th in bogey avoidance. The dude has the weirdest game possible. Has been historically a bad putter on Bermuda, but does not have a lot of bad Bermuda putting it doesn't have a lot of Bermuda putting overall in his repertoire. Let's see, Arnold Palmer, he missed the cut here a year ago, missed the cut in 2022, but does have that really nice farmer's finish. If he can get that back on the go, maybe that will help out his strokes gained around the green. Obviously in Mexico, over 4 strokes on approach, almost 5 in Phoenix, having another good ball striking, or at least tee to green week at Honda. You hope that it clicks for him eventually. You're probably going to get him at triple digits, so I'll probably be on that again because I'm a sucker, and that's what I like to do. But frankly, he's probably not going to win. A top 10 bet might still be at 9-1, something like that. Might be the better look this week for Sir Nikolai, or maybe his brother ends up being where you want to go. Adam Scott is the best in the field in par 5s over that time, which is hilarious because he's second worst in the field in that key par 3 range. Scott, Pendrith, Lee Hodges, JT Poston, and Ludwig are the 5 best players on par 5s over the past 36 rounds. Siwoo, Taylor Moore, Billy Ho, Patrick Cantley, and Minwoo Lee as well. So what I'm going to do here is try to build a mixed condition model. We haven't done that on the show recently. So on Fantasy National, go to rolling model and then go to the Bay Hill model. And we'll see how we have everything configured. Edit the rolling model. I like to build the pyramid. That's still out. 9, 19, 22, 25, 16, 9 over between 4, down through last 100 rounds. And we're going to add that to the mixed condition model. Oh, I have a lot of stuff in here. Okay. What are we going to call this one? Bay Hill rolling model is what it's called right now. And we'll update that into the MCM. We're going to have to edit the MCM, though, because we want to see, let's see, last 24 windy conditions. We'll probably just keep that in. Strokes gained short game last 36. We'll take that out. Wedges, long irons, we'll take that out. Let's Let's see, strokes gained total, multiple courses, strokes gained, multiple courses. Don't know what those multiple courses are, so we'll take those out and rebuild. But we will keep in last 24 windy AF rounds, and we'll update the model, and as we go along, we'll find some more to throw in. So what else do we want to take a look at here? I'm going to go to my general driving and putting, just strokes gained in general. So let's put some recent form into there, but we're going to try to turn this into something a little bit different. We're going to say, scoring relative, easy to par, 37% of the rounds have been easy, 20% have been average, and 43 have been difficult. So let's throw in the difficult ones, and we'll take past 24 rounds in difficult scoring overall. We'll just put in strokes gained total, because if it does get difficult, those are most definitely the guys that we want to have. You don't see a Birdie Fest breakout here all that often, and from the early weather, it looks kind of crappy on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't want to dig too much into that right now because that can most definitely change, but we're going to add to the MCM. We're going to select strokes gained total, and we'll see how that updates itself. Last 24 rounds, scoring relative to par, difficult, and we'll edit everything as we go along a little bit later in terms of weighting exactly what we want to find. So we'll update that into the model, and we'll click out. We'll refresh the page. And we're going to kind of do the same thing now. Let's make sure that got put in. Let's see, MCM. Yeah, that's in there right now. Bay Hill, we'll go back to just strokes gained overall. And we'll set that as the default model, so it always goes back to this page. And we'll say past 24 rounds, Bermuda putting. And we'll see all the filters are turned off. You can always check at the top of the screen as well. So what filters do we have? Last 24. That's all that's in there at the moment. 100% Bermuda greens. We'll throw that on, and we'll take a look at average per round over the past 24. Strokes gained putting. The best players in the field. Morikawa. Okay, interesting. Dietrich, Sam Burns, Mav McNeely, and Mackenzie Hughes are the 5 best in the field right now over the past 24 rounds on Bermuda. The other thing that we can throw in here, let's also throw in, where is it? Rough length wrong. Rough length long is what I'm trying to say. We'll build that one out in a second as well. And you know what? I'm probably going to take out difficult, or maybe I'll do rough length plus course length and go over 7,400 yards. But what am I looking for here? I have green speed. So you can see 54% at lightning, 33% at fast. So we'll throw in both of those along with Bermuda and now see over the past 24 rounds who rates out the best. We'll take the average per round. We'll take a look at putting. Wyndham Clark, Sahith, Grazerman. That's only 6 rounds for Grazerman overall on both these styles. Ben Griffin, Bezadenhout, Homa, Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Nicky Dunlap, Russell Henley, Xander Schauffele, Billy Horschel. There's Christoph Ventura again, if he can only get himself into the field. Nicholas Echeverria, Thomas Dietrich, Patrick Cantley, Denny McCarthy, Victor Hovland, Ludwig Hoagie. Not at this course, but in general, it would be Tom Hoagie over that sample size. So we're going to throw that one in. We're going to take strokes gained putting over the past 24, and we're going to throw that in. We'll wait it, whatever, it doesn't really matter because we're going to come back to it in a second. Now we're going to clear all our filters again and take past 24 rounds, and we're going to go to that rough length. Long, 100% of rounds have long rough, so we're going to go with that. And we're going to go with over 7,400 yards. It's played less than 7,200 yards from time to time. Some courses play, but we're going to, this one has played under that number like a few times, but not often. The vast majority over the past decade has been over 7,400 yards. So we're just going to take those two things, past 24. I'm actually curious to see which courses end up coming in. So you see Bay Hill, Baltusrol, Bethpage, Congressional, Medina, Shinnecock, Torrey Pines, Twin Cities of all courses, Whistling Straits, and Valhalla, along with Bay Hill, obviously. So U.S. Open courses and select ones from the PGA Tour get thrown into that. We can see the best players over the past 24 rounds per round. Akshay, only 3 rounds, but Akshay is number 1 on that list. A lot of Akshay this week. Can't wait for him to miss the cut and screw all my lineups on DraftKings. Scotty Scheffler, Tony Finau, Max Homa, Sungjae, Rory, Sam Stevens, who may or may not be in the field. I believe that he is in the field, but he's also listed in the Puerto Rico field too. Thomas, Connors, Xander Schauffele, Rafael Campos, and Victor Hovland. So we'll throw that into the mixed condition model as well. We'll add that to the MCM, strokes gained total, and then we'll just get a sense. And we'll throw some course history into here as well. why not? We're looking for other things to throw in. We could throw in recent form if we wanted to. We could throw in course history, but course history last, let's say, 3 years. At Bay Hill, we'll apply the course filters on that, and then we'll say 2024, 2023, and 2022. We'll put in last 3 years of just Bay Hill and then see what we have out of that. The best players in the field. Obviously, Scheffler has won twice, so he is far and away the best player in this. Wyndham Clark in only 8 rounds. Rory, Billy Ho, Harris English, Ben Griffin, Victor, Homa, Connors. A lot of Connors, a lot of Victor Hovland, a lot of Harris English, a little bit of Wyndham Clark. Obviously, a lot of Scheffler. Ben Ann, Russell Henley, Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley has popped a few times as well. Oh, there's Cameron Young. Can't wait for him to go into the water 84 times this week. And everyone will talk that he'll be 100-1. But man, it's Cam Young week. Maybe it will be. Won't be for me, but maybe it will be if you have the guts to go back to him if he ends himself up at triple digits. So let's put this out and see how we've done now. And I guess we could throw in recent form too, because these guys have played enough over the last little bit. Maybe we can take past 12 rounds overall and throw that in, because that should give us a pretty decent sample of different players, where they're at throughout the course of the year. The only one it's going to be pretty bad on is Xander, because he's only played 4 rounds so far this year, but we'll go 12 rounds, past 12 rounds, strokes gained total, no other filters on. Add that in. That'll be our recent form category, and we'll throw that in. So now we can take a look at what we have. So what to do is the Bay Hill rolling model we're going to rate out at 34%. We're going to take the windy and we're going to bump that down to 11%. Strokes gained total relative to par being difficult, bump that up to around 20. Putting on these greens will keep around the same. Strokes gained total on courses with long rough and over 7,400 yards. Call that 20. Strokes gained total, just course history. We'll weight that around 10. Ditto for recent form coming in. So that gives us, we'll call strokes gained total windy 10. So we go windy 10, course history 10, and recent form 10. The model itself would be 27, 14, 14, 16 for the other ones that we looked at. And we'll update that to see how it goes. How are we doing? Oh, somehow Scheffler is not number 1. It's Michael Kim. Oh my God. Michael Kim is number 1 if we take a look. No, sorry, that's the model rank of what we're looking at. MCM rank, there is Scotty Scheffler. He is number 1. I was thinking that does not seem right. Something got their wires crossed. No, it was just me looking at it. Scheffler, Rory, Xander, Henley, Cantlay are the top 5. Then you're into Tommy, Justin Thomas, Hideki, Ben Griffin, and then Wyndham Clark at number 10. We might be able to catch a decent number on Wyndham Clark. Ludwig Aubert, Finau, Hovland, Sungjae, and Mav McNeely are the top 15. Into Adam Scott, Billy Horschel, Daniel Berger, Sam Burns, and Christian Bezadenhout, of all people, are up there as well in the mixed condition model. We can take a look at that more in depth at the top. Where are we at here? Where's mixed condition model? We can see how everyone rates out. You see Scheffler's very bad at that putting. Wyndham Clark is the best at the putting. Ben Griffin is 3rd. That's why he ends up rating out so well here. How did Akshay fall so badly? Let's see. Akshay is 31st in this because his putting is so bad. He's 80th out of the 82. And there's only 72 players in this field, so he's well behind the alternates. But other than that, everything else he has besides strokes gained total at Bay Hill, where he has none, so he's even. So his lack of course history and bad putting on fast Bermuda is hurting him the most. But everything else, he's inside the top 16. The rolling model, the specific course conditions, overall recent form, and then just strokes gained total in the wind, he's top 15 as well. So outside of a few different parameters, that's why it's helpful to look at these and put some context behind the numbers for some of these people to see why they rate out in a certain way. Like Justin Thomas is really bad at putting, no big shocker there, and SG total for strokes gained relative to par being difficult. He's been bad at difficult courses overall. Everything else for him rates out really well at the moment. So that's really what I'm looking at right now when I take a look at this and try to figure out what the odds are going to be. And to take a look at the odds right now and try to guess them out, it really depends on where you think that Scheffler comes in. Scheffler has won it twice in the past 3 years. He almost won at Torrey Pines as well. I'm guessing he opens at 4-1, but because Xander is back, you might get a bit of a discount on Rory, who did not play his, he won at Pebble. Oh, it's the year of Rory. And then he doesn't play well at Torrey Pines for the Genesis, and all of a sudden Rory sucks again. So Rory, I'm going to guess, is 9-1, Ludwig at 12-1, Xander at 14-1. Do not know who would be next after that in the odds. Probably Cantlay. Maybe it's probably Justin Thomas, honestly, just because of that's where he continues to come in on these. Maybe Justin Thomas is 18-1, maybe he's 20-1, but I could see there being the big four and then the rest of the players down the board with a bunch populating that 20 through 40 area. Obviously, Jeff and I will talk through all of that on Monday's show for the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. But those are going to be the big four. 4-1 for Scotty is where I think he opens as the betting favorite in this field. Let's jump back to fantasynational.com right now. Go back to the main page. Start clicking off these ones for a second. I'm going to change the field to the Puerto Rico Open. The past 5 winners of Puerto Rico. Bryce Garnett won last year in a playoff over Eric Barnes at -19. Nico Echeverria won at -21, 2 over Akshay. The year before that, Ryan Brem -20 by 6 over Max McGreevy. Brennan Grace and Victor Hovland were the other 2 winners at -19 and -20. So the winner's been between -19 and -20 each of the past few seasons. When we take a look at the tournament history, you'll notice that Bryce Garnett has been the best player over the past 5 years. Bryce Garnett, Vince Whaley, Ben Coles, Henrik Norlander, and Martin Laird have not finished worse than T20 any of the past 4 years. Not to say that they played in the event any of the past 4 years, but they played 2 or 3 times over that span. The cut line had been even par for the 3 years leading up to 2024. It was -3 a year ago. Last year, Hayden Springer, Ben Coles, Adi Dumont de Chahret, and Joe Highsmith, and Norman Zhang all finished inside the top 10. It was Ben Coles' second time inside the top 20, so it was not his first time. The other 4 finished inside the top 10 in their first appearance at the course. The only other 2 who did that was Chad Ramey, who's in the field, finished inside the top 10 in 2022, and Matthew the Knights Husseini Smith, 2020, finished inside the top 10. It's just going to be kind of a crapshoot. Although, when I made the list of the guys who had finished inside the top 20 every single year, Bryce Garnett last year, was close to the very top of that list, was T48. So there's other guys overall in the field. He has had great course history here. Why? I don't know. Dude puts lights out on Pass Palom, and we can kind of take a look at that. That's what I want to take more of a look at right now. I did this 2 weeks ago for Mexico, but these are more of the fields that we're going to find, and we think about Pass Palom. Where's Pass Palom? Let's go to Pass Palom. Throw that in there, 100% Pass Palom. So let's go past 24 rounds, and we'll take a look at the past 1, 2. We might need to go back even a little bit longer to 2022 just because there's a lot of goobers in this field who might be playing it for the first time, and just try to take a look at the past Palom swing. How do guys do at these alternate events where we don't have shot length data, and try to take a look at strokes gained total to find who does really well here. So Chan Kim in 16 rounds has been pretty good. Justin Hastings and Danny Walker both showed up bigly at the Mexico Open a few weeks back. John Pack, I forget where he played. Maybe it was Mexico as well. Wesley Bryan and Sam Stevens. We'll see if I believe Sam Stevens is officially in. I think so. Let's see. Maybe he's not. Take a look at the updated list here. We have Nick Taylor. I don't see Sam Stevens. Okay, so Sam Stevens is in right now to the field. But if Ben Griffin and Vegas or Nico or Spawn seems to be the big one right now. If any of those guys play pretty well, they can sneak into the Aon next 10 and bump out Sam Stevens and Lucas Glover and take their spots in the field. So there's a chance that we do see Sam Stevens in this field. He probably ends up being the betting favorite if that's the case. Cam Champ and Carson Young. Novak might end up being the best player in the field because it doesn't look like he's qualified for API. And he's someone that I actually liked at Honda this week. Did not play great at Honda, or Cognizant, sorry, if that's the way that we're still calling it right now. Ben Coles up there. Ben Coles is probably a bet for me, honestly. He's finished well with this course, plays pretty well on Pass Palom courses by and large. You're going to find the guys like Nick Hardy or Nicholas Nogard-Moeller, guys who can really bomb it out there. But I do think that putting matters so much at these courses that almost any style can end up winning. Short hitters, long hitters, where you're seeing a reduced quality of player, just different skill sets, if they spike throughout the course of the week, might end up being where you want to be. Joe Highsmith rallied himself into the mix at the Cognizant on Saturday. We'll see if he ends up finding himself in the field. He's 7th right now, entering the final round for the Aeon swing. We'll see if he can play himself into that tournament. If not, he'll be one of the better looks at Puerto Rico. I don't have a ton of Puerto Rico insight, honestly. It's something fun to throw on because it's on Golf Channel earlier on during the day than the final part of the API. So if you're looking for golf earlier, you just want to make a double or have some sort of sweat, it is a fun tournament to bet on. And you can probably find some long shots in the field because a lot of long shots end up winning in Puerto Rico over the years. If you want to win a contest for a free year at Fantasy National, leave your winner in the comment section on YouTube or on Apple or Spotify. I'm back, 15 straight days of shows. I think that's what it is. Maybe it's even more than that. So sub to the channel, smash the like and help us out, and go to Underdog right now. There's those 2 tournaments that I told you about, the best ball drafts that are happening right now, where you are going to find yourself, drafting. I'm sure that Byron's going to have rankings out. I'm going to have rankings out the moment the official Pat Mayo Experience Leagues end up dropping. But if you use code Mayo to sign up now, you get that deposit bonus, draft your teams with the bonus funds, and then play the hole 16, higher, lower props, lower on hole 16 for API, and try to win some cash in the pick'em game as well, okay? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!